So if you have turned on the news in the past day, even in the past week, you have seen that there is mass panic across the nation. But why? Why are we seeing so many people panic and struggle? What is the reason? Well, it's actually pretty simple, and it's because of food shortages. Food shortages are actually starting to pile up, and it's creating a very, very big problem. Now, just 1 month ago, actually 1 month today, Russia invaded Ukraine. And things today are worse than what many people predicted back on February 24th. If you remember, back on February 24th, 1 month ago today, I did this video, came on later than normal, talked about how we don't know what's going to happen, but Russia invaded Ukraine. That's all we knew. And we knew things could potentially get very bad. Well, here's what we know now. Gas prices have risen beyond what many people can reasonably afford. Companies have essentially pulled out of Russia. People have fled Ukraine for safety. Europe is getting hammered with higher prices across the board. And here in the United States, we're seeing shortages in mass. That's what's happening. Now, I have been talking about gasoline prices almost every single day for the past couple of weeks. So today we're going to take a break from talking about gasoline in today's video. What I do want to talk about though is I want to talk about mass panic across the nation regarding our food shortages. Because here's what's happening. Many agriculture economists and experts are calling the Russian invasion on Ukraine one of the biggest disruptions they have ever seen. That's not an understatement. It is a huge disruption. And here's why. Ukraine is a major supplier in the world's wheat market. And obviously, Ukraine is taking a massive hit. When you have 10%, or actually, no, I think it was like 25% of the population, about 10 million people in Ukraine, flee the country to safety. That's an issue because who is there to produce? Who is there to really run the manufacturing plants, the jobs, right? Who's there to ship products out? Nobody. Nobody's there. And so this is a huge disruption to the world's wheat market. Russia is also a big seller of wheat. And just to give you an idea, the US and Canada produce a good amount of wheat as well. So we could somewhat offset this here. So it's not like a huge issue, but it's still a major issue worldwide. Because even though the US and Canada could sell, right? Sell their produce, right? Sell wheat. We can do that. Here's the issue. We sell it and we now lose a little bit of our supply in order to supply another country who is struggling to get their own product. Guess what? That means our stuff here in the US will go up. And even Belarus, Russia's ally, they are a huge supplier in fertilizer. Well, guess what? If we have to then supply, or other countries have to supply Europe with fertilizer, guess what? It goes up for us as well because we're losing our supply. Demand stays the same, supply goes down, which means prices will go up. That's scary. Now, President Biden, he actually warned people today that there could be a huge, massive global food shortage resulting from Russia's invasion. And he said, and I quote, "We did talk about food shortages, and it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia, it's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well." So President Biden knows that the sanctions that they have placed on Russia is going to impact not just Russia, it's going to impact almost every single country in this world. That's a huge issue. Now, as for what President Biden and NATO leaders plan to do, President Biden urged all European countries and everyone else to end trade restrictions on limitations on sending food abroad. Now, President Biden also stated that the U.S. and its allies are in the process of working out how to fix these issues surrounding food shortages. But in a time when we are seeing or continuing to see inflation rising and our major supply chain issues, he says we need to figure out a solution, and we need to do that now. Also, President Biden and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, they both talked today about increasing their nation's agriculture production in order to make up for any shortfalls. So the good news is there is stuff in the pipeline being discussed, but as to what is actually going on and actively going through, it's not much. There's not much. And this is one of the reasons why there's so much panic across the nation, is because these shortages are not just stopping right here. We're not just seeing shortages in wheat. We're not just seeing shortages in corn and coffee, right? And avocados. That's not the issue. We're seeing massive shortages all across the board. And here's something that you need to understand. A lot of people don't realize this. When you go into a store, because I even talked to somebody today, that when you go into a store and you see that, no, there's no shortages, all the shelves are full. Well, go to one of the shelves, okay? Put your hand in and move the products aside. Because one of the things I can guarantee you, especially when it comes to things like pastas and canned goods, you put your hand in the shelf and move some of the products aside, I guarantee you not every single shelf is loaded all the way to the back. I guarantee you there's a lot of shelves that people go in, and this is their job, is to make it look like the shelves are full. So what do? They take all the products, they put their hands in the shelf, and they pull everything to the front of the shelf. And guess what? It looks full. It's just a trick that grocery stores use. Here's something else you need to be well aware of. And I said this a few weeks ago as well, but I have been buying certain products that when you go to the stores are full. They got a lot of stuff. But when you go and check the expiration date, it's coming very close. And here's the reason why some of these stores have a lot of products, is they're just now getting all their stuff in. They're just now seeing that these containers, the shipments are arriving. Guess what? Now the products are showing up, but they could have days, weeks, or maybe just a month left before they expire. That's a huge issue because we're seeing a lot of products now, but what happens when all these products are now expired, have to be thrown out or discarded? What do you do then? Because these stores don't have a lot of new stuff coming in. There's additional delays that they have, right? Worker shortages, supply chain issues, shipping, right? Everything is causing a major issue, and it's a huge panic for a lot of people. This is why some people are doing something called panic buying. Now, here's what experts recommend. Experts recommend that now is the best time to prepare for shortages. They say, stock up on products that last. Do not panic buy. You don't need to go and buy 20 big bundles of toilet paper. You don't need that. Go buy stuff that can last. These are pastas, canned goods, beans, rice, things like that, water, right? Go and buy that stuff where we could potentially see shortages. All right. The next thing, and this is something that I talked to one of my friends about like last week, was I was seeing in the comments here in the community, people were talking about how seeds are limited in certain stores. Well, here's one thing I can tell you. Go and buy packs of seeds. Go get seeds for tomatoes and cucumber and I don't know, whatever, peppers or whatever you want, right? Go get some seeds for vegetables. Go do that, because guess what? You can grow that yourself. But when you go and get the seeds, also, because keep in mind, we could see a shortage of fertilizer. So guess what? Buy fertilizer. All right? Now, I just want to say something, that there's a movie out there. You may have seen it. It's one of my personal favorites. I absolutely love this movie. Probably watch it once a month. The movie's called The Big Short. Now, in the movie The Big Short, which I highly recommend, there's a Brad Pitt plays a person. I think his name's like Ben Ricketts in the movie. But in the movie, he says that seeds will be the new currency. And guess what? He could be right. He could be right. All right? So go and watch the movie. I highly recommend it. But that's what we know right now, that this is not just people panicking across the nation for no good reason. President Biden said it himself. Yes, food shortages are real, they're piling up, and we need to be prepared. So, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can always ask your questions down in the comment section below. Just want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, I know it's not great news, but if you just enjoy the raw content and the truth, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.